Do you ever feel the pressure to hit add to cart? Maybe it's the surge of dopamine you get from buying yourself a little treat after a stressful day, or the barrage of emails in your inbox announcing a limited time deal that hits you with a sense of urgency. Maybe you find yourself continually reaching into your wallet to keep up with the Joneses, or to start a new hobby, or to provide your child with the perfect toy you wish you had growing up. This is the endless societal hamster wheel of consumerism. And while many filmmakers have exposed the toll of consumerism on modern society, few have done so as imaginatively as Hayao Miyazaki in Spirited Away. Spirited Away follows 10-year-old Chihiro as she navigates a magical world of spirits, dragons, and witches as she tries to save her parents, who were turned into pigs by sorceress and bathhouse tycoon Yubaba. Many people love this Academy Award-winning film for its beautiful hand-drawn style, its fanciful characters like the radish spirit and soot sprites, and its engaging hero's journey arc for Chihiro as she develops her courage and sense of responsibility. But what makes this movie so timely is its critique of modern greed and consumerism, which is consistent but not hit you over the head didactic. Miyazaki introduces Chihiro as a bratty child who complains that her dad only got her one rose for her birthday, rather than a bouquet. When the family stumbles upon an abandoned amusement park near their new home, we notice that Chihiro's entitlement stems from her observations of her parents. Her father walks through the eerie park without caring about disturbing spirits, and instead attributing the desertedness to an economic downturn. When the family stumbles upon plates of food, Dad helps himself while assuring Chihiro that, "Don't worry, you've got Daddy here. He's got credit cards and cash." And just like that, we have our first victims to the corrupting influence of greed. After gorging themselves on spirit food that isn't theirs, Chihiro's parents transform into the quintessential symbol of greed: pigs. Did Chihiro's parents bring this bad luck on themselves? Definitely, but it's not surprising given how tempting that food looks. The parents follow the smell through the abandoned food stalls and cannot resist. The greed possesses them and leads them to steal like the pigs they are inside. And karma really gets them when sorceress Yubaba puts them in a pen with her other pig victims, getting fattened up to become bacon for the spirits at the bathhouse. Yubaba's bathhouse is a consumerist playground for visiting spirits, and an oppressive prison for the workers who maintain it. The building itself is a vertical hierarchy of power. The lowest floor houses the lowly soot sprites that power the furnace. Then comes the sparse living quarters for the workers bound by contract to serve Yubaba. Then increasingly fancy floors where visiting spirits can take luxurious baths and eat tasty meals. Then the elevator stops at Yubaba's lavish quarters on the top floor. The visuals make it extremely clear that comfort and enjoyment are only available to the consumerist class. If you have gold to spend, you can have an herbal soak and delicious buffet. But if you don't, you sleep on the floor just above the basement. The foreman overseeing the workers reinforce this hierarchy, even though this foreman is much closer to the workers than to Yubaba. His relative proximity to luxury tempts him to snitch on Chihiro for being a human, though personal greed wins in the end. The promise of a singular roasted newt distracts him long enough for Chihiro to escape. And a later frog foreman is so corrupted by his desire for gold that he lets himself get eaten by No-Face. More on him later. Definitely no workers of the world unite here. Yubaba's apartments are peak hyperconsumption, luxurious, filled with gold coins and jewels. Her outfit is gaudy, with an impressive number of huge rings and a cartoonishly large cigarette to match. And it's not surprising that Yubaba has amassed so much wealth, given the harsh contract she draws up for Chihiro that allows her to stay at the bathhouse to work in exchange for her name, and thereby her identity as an individual. Miyazaki is drawing a direct line between the consumerism of the wealthiest individuals with their exploitation of those lower on the hierarchy. As the film progresses and Chihiro meets the film's many magical characters, Miyazaki offers us glimpses into the specific ways in which greed and consumerism harm both individuals and the environment. Later in the film, we meet Yubaba's son Bo, the ultimate Nepo baby and poster child for how consumerism can ruin the next generation. His room is not only lavishly decorated, but padded and artificial. Every surface is covered with pillows, and a sophisticated lighting setup can shift the room from day to night mode. He's sheltered, and it shows. But giving Bo everything has turned this blank slate into a terror. Since he never leaves his room, he's paranoid about germs. Since he gets everything he wants, he's incredibly spoiled and threatens to break Chihiro's arm if she doesn't play with him. And since he's left alone with his fancy toys for hours on end, he never learns how to interact productively with others. Through Bo, Miyazaki points out the flaws in modern consumerist parenting, which leaves children freakishly self-important like an 8-foot-tall baby, but ultimately starved of meaningful socialization. One of the film's most recognizable characters, No Face, further illustrates how greed can warp priorities. When he first meets Chihiro, he desperately tries to gain her approval through physical items like the bath tokens he conjures out of thin air. While promises of gold get other workers at the bathhouse to do his bidding, Chihiro rejects his offers. This sends No Face into a frenzy. He is played by the rules of consumerism, but still failed to gain the approval of the friend he wants the most. He goes on a rampage and gobbles up anything in his way. To save themselves from being eaten, the workers throw together an endless buffet of dishes for No Face, literally feeding his gluttony. When Chihiro confronts No Face, the reason for his behavior becomes clear. He has no friends or family and has used consumerism to fill the void. But he's never satisfied because greed is hollow compared to genuine love. It's not until after No Face detoxes the greed from his system and leaves the temptations of the bathhouse that he can finally find peace. Miyazaki takes his critique of greed one step further, using Yubaba's right-hand man Haku to show how greed not only distorts the psyche, but also leads to a physical toll on the body. Haku steals a gold seal from Yubaba's twin sister, who then sends her army of paper spirits after him. Haku, in dragon form, thrashes around as he suffers a near death by 1,000 paper cuts. Just like Chihiro's parents, he brought this fate on himself, but his sorry state is pitiful. Miyazaki's choice to punish Haku for his greed through a fleet of paper warriors highlights the slow, agonizing impact of greed on the physical self. One paper cut is not that bad, but an army of paper cuts leaves Haku bleeding out even in his majestic dragon form. Just like No Face, he has to physically expel the greed from his body to begin his physical recovery. Another of Chihiro's tests comes as she must tend to the bath of a wealthy but smelly client, a stink spirit. When the mysterious visitor arrives, he just looks like a pile of mud. The big reveal comes when Chihiro tries to remove a thorn in the spirit's side, which ends up being the handlebar of a bicycle. As the workers pull out the bicycle, more and more trash pours out of the stink spirit until at last the water deity trapped within is freed. Here, Miyazaki uses the symbol of the polluted river spirit to highlight the dangerous impacts of human consumerism on the environment. If humans hadn't thrown out so many bicycles, appliances, and commodities, the river spirit would have never gotten into such a disgusting situation. But the water god is freed, so a solution to the ills of greed and consumerism is possible. This is the focus of the film's third act, in which Chihiro and the gang journey to Swamp Bottom. When I first watched this movie, I was surprised by the tonal shift in the last 20 minutes. Spirited Away had been so sharp in its critique of consumerism, but everything falls into place when you consider that the final 20 minutes of the film are Miyazaki's answer to the question: if consumerism is so harmful, what should we do instead? Miyazaki offers the antidote with Zeniba, Yubaba's twin sister who lives in a modest cottage in rural Swamp Bottom. Zeniba prioritizes handicrafts made with love and fellowship over materialism, as she teaches No Face to spin thread and make a magical hairband for Chihiro. She also frequently emphasizes the importance of love and friendship, acting as a foil to her twin's obsession with profit. This alternative to greed has a positive influence on many of the characters. No-Face finds a long-term home that satisfies his need for community. Baby Bo, who Zeniba turned into a hamster, learns to physically and metaphorically stand up to his mother, and Haku is welcomed in despite his past transgressions. Zeniba prioritizes growth, albeit in a tough love fashion. After all, she sends her paper warriors after Haku for swiping her gold seal and refers to her sister as obnoxious. Her alternative to materialism is neither passive nor strictly sunshine and rainbows, and it takes time. Spirited Away succeeds in conveying social commentary on the dangers of consumerism in a way that hooks the audience. The beautiful drawing, the imaginative characters, and the magical setting keep us watching and more likely to digest Miyazaki's deeper message. Importantly, Miyazaki does not just criticize the all-too-familiar patterns at the Bathhouse. He offers Swamp Bottom as a model for what we should value instead. As Nobel Prize-winning writer Alexander Solzhenitsyn says, who, if not writers, are to condemn their own unsuccessful social structures? In some states, this is the easiest way to make a living. But Miyazaki is not just any filmmaker taking the easy way out by merely dunking on his society. He goes beyond by offering an alternative path that he hopes sticks with his viewers. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe for more deep dives, and let us know in the comments what movie we should explore next.